resided for several years. Denis got to us in a way I think you all would be understanding of. A friend called me up and said, no, this guy, you've got to help this guy. He's amazing. Her name is Donna Ritter. She could not be here today because of car trouble this morning, but she sends her love to the family, and she was the first person who introduced me to Denis. Denis, I had the pleasure of knowing Denis for the last 5 years, and I will always be an individual who I'll always remember. Denis was a quiet individual. He was never intruding on you or bothering you for needless attention. He often would neglect himself, and this sacrifice caused endearment to grow in me for him as I got to know him better over time. He was complex and introverted and tangled, yet elegant and soft in his way. His passion was art in both the canvas and the written word. And if you're truly lucky, he trusted you to share some of his with you. I remember the first time I saw one of Denis's paintings. I took it to be quite honestly produced by someone else and reacted shocked at the skill and talent it contained and that he had made it. This brought about an immediate reassessment in me of Denis, for his quietness and his humbleness had caused me to severely underestimate his potential and who he was. I believe that moment also brought about a similar reassessment in Denis of me as I was promoted from Neanderthal to Renaissance man. On that very day. I pride myself on being one of Denis's cheerleaders. Denis returned to college while he resided at the Hickey House. I was constantly asking him about classes and the progress he was making. I watched Denis not only excel at scholastics, but improve his self-confidence as others praised his work and encouraged him further. I remember the fine day that Denis informed me that he had won an award for one of his writings. His humble, quiet way of sharing this with me brought such joy up in me for my friend that that feeling is even now easily remembered. I too was attempting to finish my degree alongside Denis as we shared this bond as fellow students. One of my fondest memories was a day on the campus of Gainesville State that I ran into Denis out on the commons. There we both stood, two middle-aged men, both from the same Saltee tribe, both knowing how far each of us had come to be there, and both of us immensely proud of each other. Hugging him that day on that campus, seeing him smile at my engagement, that day, my friends, that day was a great day I'll never forget. I stand before you a friend of Denis, and one of many, obviously. We are all blessed to have known this man. I'm sure we will not forget soon how he had touched all our lives. I think we're all better for knowing. May he rest in peace.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Robin Hale. I'm one of Denis's more recent friends. We had several friends in common who thought we had just the right sort of combination to become good friends and suggested we try to get together. I've been caregiving for my mother and disabled brother for the last 10 years. So Denis and my schedules could never fit. We could never get together. We'd say, well, let's get together for lunch. No, couldn't do that. So most of it was over the internet. And then one day, Denis wrote me, he said, would you mind reading something I wrote and give me some suggestions, tell me what you think about it? And I went, I said, oh, I don't want to do this. And then what he sent was really good. It was really good. There were some areas that were cloudy, unclear. So I was very honest. I said, I will critique you but I've got to be totally honest with you all the time, and I will always tell you the truth. And so he sent me the piece, and the areas that I didn't understand or didn't make sense to me, I sent back some suggestions and asked him questions. What are you trying to say here? What's your point? And lo and behold, in a day or two, not only had he made those corrections, but had really substantively improved the story. And this happened again and again. And so what happened was Dennis started calling me his first reader. And I was given the honor to get to read what he just wrote. Now, knowing Denis as well as you do, because like I said, I really didn't know him. At first I thought, oh, this is going to be like smoking over a gasoline tank, you know, because writers are very touchy about their work. He was always honest with himself. He was one of the most courageous people I've known as far as his talent, his creativity. And he was remarkably creative and had a first-rate mind. So I started calling him Saint Denis, after Saint Denis, the patron saint of France, because I thought they had a lot in common. Saint Denis was a Christian martyr, the legend goes, then was beheaded, and then picked up his head and walked for 6 miles delivering the sermon. And where the head got set down finally, he stopped, became a venerated spot where all the kings of France were crowned after that. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good, accurate description of Denis himself. I encourage you to read Denis's most recent work. There's a blog, I think, still operational. Bessie will check to make sure.
It is.
But I really encourage you to read what he spent the last 2 years of his life trying to express. There's one particular story called Sparrow, which is by far his best work and holds up to the finest work that's ever been published in my mind. His sensitivity always impressed me. Earlier in the year, it was shortly after he fell off the wagon and was having such a hard time, I sent him a couple of postcards, one of his beloved Louise Brooks and one of Tallulah Bankhead, and he sent me back a little thank you, and I'm going to get them framed, and I was busy, and I didn't respond. And about 2 weeks later, he wanted to let me know that he had gotten one of the pictures framed, and it was hanging in his house, and it meant so much to him, and he was so thankful, so grateful that I'd done that for him. Well, I missed all that. I think the tragedy, if there's tragedy to Denis's life, is we missed a lot. While he was always out there giving, incredibly generous man, while he was always out giving things, we didn't always see his needs. We didn't always see what was going on underneath. I know I wish, in retrospect, that I had tried harder, and I had pushed myself a little bit further to make myself available at times that I didn't. Frankly, when he was really angry, it scared me. I have a brother who's same age right now who is dying of cirrhosis of the liver. And I've been dealing with addiction for 35 years of my life, and it was too painful for me to go through. I wish now, as I look back, that I had had more courage, that I had tried harder to pull out what was really going on with Denis. So I didn't think that I would be terribly emotional about his passing. Rob let me know he's in the hospital. The first 2 days I tried to get there, my younger brother who has seizures, I had to take care of him. And by that time I realized he was slipping. Let's just go ahead, Dennis, and keep this relationship disembodied. We'll keep it totally cerebral. And then last night, as I was getting groceries, preparing some stuff to bring here today, and I was loading up the car, and there was a beautiful rainbow, and the sun was shining from the west and lighting up clouds that were like, well, they were like the Viennese painter Tiepolo. They were just gorgeous, and I thought, oh, Dennis, I wish you were here, and started crying. But he was there. I'm going to carry Dennis with me the rest of my life. Every time there's a moment of just unmistakable beauty, Dennis is going to be there sharing everything. And I encourage all of you to carry him with you in your hearts all the rest of your life. He's a remarkable man. And thanks be to God.